Over the last year and a half, there have been very few opportunities for people to sit down and really have a good laugh at something. Well, in today's video, I'm going to relate a story that should make you fall out of your chair. In the last 36 to 48 hours, I have been able to catch YouTube's censors in an incredibly embarrassing and hypocritical position. They've been forced to relent, and later on in the video, I'm going to re-upload something that I was forced to take down because they believe the video showed something that, quote-unquote, could cause harm. Now, I'm going to have to wade into the weeds a little bit of YouTube Inside Baseball to lay the groundwork for this. There are different standards on YouTube. My channel, being a monetized channel, has a very high standard. I have to watch my language, watch my tone, watch the imagery that I show, so that I maintain the status of my channel as safe for advertisers. This is what I do for a living. There are other channels that are not monetized. They have a lower standard. They can be more edgy. They can show things that I wouldn't be able to get away with. Now, that's very key because a couple of days ago, they demonetized one of my videos, meaning I had to delete it, that they believed showed something that could cause harm. Now, what was in that video? Well, in the video, the Attorney General for the state of Florida suggested that we should move up the date for the reopening of the cruise lines in Florida. Her and the governor together had a press conference. Some of you may remember it. The CDC guideline right now, I believe, is 1 November 2021 for cruise lines to reopen. The state of Florida is suing CDC and the HHS to move that date up. Now, this is the basis upon which they demonetized my video. That could conceivably cause harm. That's the standard they applied. Now, we can debate all day long whether that's a proper standard or not, but it is the standard. Now, once the standard is set, that should apply across the board. However, one day, not even one day later, Secretary of Transportation in the Biden administration, Pete Buttigieg, had this to say.
Whether it's by plane or by cruise ship. There have been questions about the cruise industry, especially this past week. CDC issued some guidance. There's concerns that it perhaps didn't have enough specifics or specific benchmarks, I guess. Have you been in touch with the CDC about that industry's concerns? And to cruise industry leaders who say we should be treated more like the airlines, what would you say?
Well, the bottom line is safety, right? And we look. I'm the Secretary of Transportation. I can't wait for us all to be on the move as much as possible in a safe and responsible way. But it's got to be safe and responsible. And airplanes have one safety profile. Cruise ships have another. Vehicles have another. And each one needs to be treated based on what's safe for that sector. I'll tell you, I certainly care a lot about seeing the cruise sector thrive. And I know that CDC is hopeful that a lot of these operators will be in a position to be sailing by midsummer, and laying out these specific kind of gates that they need to get through is a very important step toward that.
Hold on. Truck up. The Secretary of Transportation, pardon the pun there, said that they are hopeful cruise lines are operating by midsummer. Now, YouTube just applied a standard to my video that says because the current date is 1 November, that suggesting anything else could cause harm. When I brought this to their attention, they took quite a few steps backward. I said, hey, wait a minute. The governor of the state of Florida, Secretary of State, Attorney General, state of Florida, had a press conference where they said they were announcing a lawsuit to open our cruise industry ahead of the date, official date, set by the CDC. And you said that video could cause harm. Now we have the Secretary of Transportation in a press conference stating that they're hopeful the same thing could happen. The date be moved up and North American cruises out of Florida beginning this summer. Busted. Absolutely busted. So they had to kind of reel back a little bit and say, okay, maybe that was a little bit too strict of a standard to apply, but this is what happens when you pay attention to detail. Now, as per them, I am going to replay this video for you. I downloaded it onto my hard drive, and of course, after having had to delete it, so I still have the content. So without any further delay, we're going to let that video replay here on the end of this one. We're starting here at about the 2-minute mark, and it's about a 21-minute video. So, we've got about another 18 minutes if you want to hear this. So I'm sure a lot of you were wondering what happened to that video. This is where it's going to be. So just understand, YouTube can be beaten as long as you pay attention to detail and are informed.
The country and compare the rest of the country, the state of Florida, in terms of the economy, our unemployment's 4.7% for the last report. Nationally, it's at 6.3%, and that's a result of us making sure people's right to work was protected, making sure businesses have the right to operate. This is something that's being imposed as shutdown by the CDC and the federal government. And so if you look at Miami-Dade County, even though the state of Florida is far below the national average in terms of the unemployment rate, here in Dade County, it's one of the highest unemployment rates in the entire state. And it's way higher than the state average and higher than even the national average. And the main reason for that is because the federal government and the CDC has locked down this industry for over a year. This is not reasonable. This is not rational. And guess what? If they say that cruising is not safe, even with widespread vaccine availability, all the testing you want, they have now antibody treatments that have been very effective. They have all these different things. It's a much different situation than a year ago. But guess what? People are still going to go on cruises. You know what they're going to do? Instead of flying to Miami, spending money to stay in our hotels, spending money to eat in our restaurants before they get on the ship, they're going to fly to the Bahamas. And they're going to get on the ships from the Bahamas, and they're going to spend the money in the Bahamas, and then they're going to do the same thing that they would have done. It just won't be helping the state of Florida, and it won't be helping our folks here who really depend on it. So how does that make any sense? It doesn't. It's irrational, and this is something that we don't believe can continue any longer. And so today, I'm happy to announce that on behalf of the tens of thousands of Floridians whose livelihood depends on the viability of an open cruise industry, today Florida's fighting back. We're filing a lawsuit against the federal government and the CDC demanding that our cruise ships be reopened immediately. This will be something that we believe we have every legal right to insist upon. We don't believe the federal government has the right to mothball a major industry for over a year based on very little evidence and very little data. And I think we have a good chance for success. But here's the thing. It's our responsibility to fight for our fellow Floridians. If they are in dire straits, and you heard Monica, the stories, it's not just about even dollars and cents. Obviously, people want a paycheck. They want to be able to control their own destiny and do things like that. But it's also about your livelihood, how you feel about yourself, how your mental health is doing, all these other things that are negatively affected when you have something like this happen where you're shut out. And the thing is, too, is not only are they shut out, there's really just no end in sight, because whatever they do next, it's probably going to be so cumbersome that the cruise lines aren't even going to be able to sail under some ridiculous order with you having to do all these other things. So our view is people can make the decisions that they want to make. People are going to cruise one way or another. It's a question is, are we going to do it out of Florida, which is the #1 place to do it in the world, or are they going to be doing it out of the Bahamas or other locations? And so I think that the answer to that question should be obvious for Floridians. We want our folks to be able to go back to work. We want to be able to stand up for them and their families. And so today we're doing that. I'm very happy to be partnering with our Attorney General, Ashley Moody. We've been discussing this now for many weeks. We knew that we had to do something. We did have an event at Port Canaveral a couple weeks ago imploring the CDC to take action. They've not taken sufficient action. And so we believe that it is time for us to vindicate the state's rights and the rights of the state in court, and also vindicate the livelihoods of the tens of thousands of Floridians who depend on this industry. So the Attorney General is going to come up, give you a little bit more information on what we're doing today. But I couldn't be more proud to be working with her on this very, very important issue. And on behalf of everyone you see standing back here, everyone else in the community, particularly in Miami-Dade County, help is on the way here. We're going to keep at this until we finally get it open.
Well, thank you so much, Governor DeSantis. During his first weeks in office, he stood up and announced to the people of the state of Florida that, in keeping with Alexander Hamilton's quote, "Energy in the executive is the leading character of good government." And thank goodness we have a leader in our executive branch here in Florida that not only understands that, not only pledged to do that on behalf of Floridians, but during the last 2 years, and especially during the last year, has demonstrated that he will put forth the energy and engagement with Floridians and its businesses to determine what is needed, even during our most critical times. And today's announcement demonstrates how that leads to good government. We are not going to sit back while an administrative agency decides to shut down an entire industry. 60% of the nation's cruises come out of Florida. Almost $8 billion is injected into Florida's economy because of this thriving industry. And what we heard yesterday was announcements that cruises are again delaying and canceling because of this administration. Because this administration is not willing to engage in the details, address the evolving, now relevant, updated medical, scientific data, evaluate how vaccines are affecting the health of our communities and our abilities to cruise safely. They are not willing to revamp and consider lifting these no-sale orders and allowing us to resume this thriving industry with reasonable health protocols. And why is it important for the administration to do that, to do their jobs? Because we have people floundering, like you heard, here in Florida. We are losing tax revenue. People's lives are on the line. They are desperate to return to work. And we will not sit back in Florida while the freedom of people's lives and their businesses are at stake. We will always stand up for freedom in Florida. We, as an executive branch, will always engage. We will always pay attention to the details. I witnessed firsthand this governor sit down with people affected over the last few months by the shutdown of this industry. And that will lead to good leadership. We have filed suit this morning, just before meeting with you here today, against the administration, HHS, and the CDC, demanding that the court find that this effective no-sale order is unlawful and allow our cruises to resume safely. If we do not do this, you will see cruises continue to move these cruises to other countries. The Biden administration has had numerous opportunities to engage and put America's businesses first, Florida's businesses first. And instead, he has allowed the playing field to be tilted to the benefit of foreign countries. And Florida will not allow that to happen. So I thank you so much, Governor DeSantis, for working with us, for telling our office how important this was to people across this state. We will continue to partner and push forward until we see this thriving industry resume. And we will continue to support this executive leadership, which has demonstrated a tremendous amount of engagement, attention to detail, and compassion for those lives who these orders are affecting.
I think we'll leave it there. That's basically the gist. And the governor comes back up and he kind of reiterates things. There are a few other people that speak. But the actual press conference, I do believe in its entirety, is on YouTube. I'm going to go find that link and provide that for you guys down in the first pinned comment. So anyway, have a great weekend. God bless, like, share, subscribe, and we will see you next time.